All right, let's dive into this deep dive into Rick Pino and his biblical secrets to create infinite wealth. This is part one. Pino says he went from broke to millions in just a few years. And he did it all using what he calls biblical principles.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know what you might be thinking,
Yeah.
another prosperity gospel thing, right? But Pino's approach is a little bit different. He's got this way of telling stories,
Yeah.
weaving in his personal journey and how he interprets scripture, all to kind of lay out his case for how you can unlock not just wealth, but infinite wealth.
That's a big promise.
It is. So are you intrigued?
Definitely intrigued. I think what's really fascinating about Pino's approach is that he really taps into a desire that a lot of us have, which is to achieve some kind of financial abundance. But instead of going down the road of like hustle culture or get-rich-quick schemes, he's saying that the Bible actually holds the key to a whole different level of wealth creation. So we're going to unpack some of his arguments, see what kind of insights we can get out of this, even if you don't necessarily subscribe to the same beliefs.
Yeah, and he throws you right into it with this really vivid scene. He wants you to imagine you're in India and you're watching construction workers toiling under this hot sun.
Yeah.
They're working 12 hours straight, really backbreaking labor for very little pay. And he uses this to illustrate a trap that a lot of us fall into, this idea of trading our time for dollars. It's this endless cycle.
It is.
And he poses this question: could these workers ever really achieve wealth by just working harder?
Right. Like there's a limit.
Exactly. There's a limit to how much you can work. Even if you push yourself to the absolute max, you're still going to have that ceiling on your income. So, does that resonate with you at all? Are you stuck in that same cycle, feeling like no matter how much you do, your earning potential is limited?
Well, Pino's argument is relying only on hard work leads to a finite income, no matter what. And, working hard is great, but he's really pushing for a total shift in thinking.
Yeah, like a paradigm shift
Yes.
and how we think about wealth creation. And that's where this aha moment comes in. He points to Deuteronomy 8.18, which reads, "But remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth, and so confirms his covenant, which he swore to your ancestors, as it is today." This is where things get a little interesting. Pino interprets this to mean that God doesn't just hand you wealth. He gives you the power to create it. And the key to unlocking that power, he says, is creativity. And he really emphasizes that this creativity is what lets you break free from that time for money trap and start to unlock unlimited potential.
This take on Deuteronomy 8.18 may be surprising to some people because he's not saying that. Wealth is a reward for being pious or anything like that. It's more about the power, the God-given power to create. And even in the Bible, we see figures like Jacob, who used his cleverness to build his wealth. And cleverness, you could say that's a form of creativity. So it's making me think, is my work right now really tapping into my creative potential? Or am I just trading hours for a fixed income?
Right. And then Pino takes it even further by looking at the Hebrew word for power in that verse, which is koch. And get ready for this, because Pino connects koch with akil, a chameleon.
Oh, wow.
I know, right?
Okay.
So you have this chameleon blending into its surroundings.
Right.
And Pino says that that's our creative power. It's the ability to not just survive, but thrive in any financial environment.
I like that.
Yeah, he's really pushing us to think beyond the 9 to 5
Yeah.
and asking, what are those unique skills that you have that you could use to make money in maybe unexpected ways?
Yeah, like maybe you're really good at organizing things, or maybe you're a great storyteller. How could those talents be translated into a way to generate wealth?
Exactly. He wants us to think outside that traditional job box and recognize that it's this creative power, this kush, that lets us generate wealth in new ways. But before we get too carried away with chameleons, Pino reminds us that this whole idea is rooted in something deeper, remembering the Lord. He says that aligning your life with God's principles is what makes generating wealth easy. And that ease frees you up to focus on what really matters, your relationship with God. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think financial abundance can actually enhance your spiritual connection? Or are they at odds with each other?
I think that's a really good point, and it's something to really sit with, because Pino seems to be pushing back on this idea that wealth and spirituality can't exist together. He's saying that they actually can coexist and even complement each other. When you approach it with the right mindset, he believes that true wealth, the kind that doesn't consume you, comes when you are aligned with a higher purpose.
That's interesting. And he wraps up this part of his message by going to Ephesians 5.15-16, which tells us to make the best use of the time. And he interprets this as redeeming the time, basically buying back your time. You do that by pursuing things that let you break free from constantly trading time for money.
Okay.
It's not about getting rich for the sake of it. It's about freedom to live a life that aligns with your values.
Copy.
And he asks this really powerful question. Would you trade $1 million for not waking up tomorrow?
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
It makes you think about the true value of time. Money can buy you things, but it can't buy you more time.
That's very true.
So Pino's challenging us to shift our perspective, to see that time is our most valuable asset,
Yeah.
and we should be investing it wisely. He's saying that when you're stuck in that cycle of trading time for money, you end up seeing everything through the lens of cost, which leads to a scarcity mindset.
Yeah, I can see that.
But when you use your creativity to generate wealth, you start to feel a sense of freedom, of abundance, and that allows you to see the world in a whole new way. So that's the end of part 1 of our deep dive into Rick Pino's biblical secrets to create infinite wealth.
So we've been talking about Pino's argument against just trading time for money and how he thinks creativity is the key to unlocking that power to build wealth, the power that God gives you. But he doesn't stop there. He goes even deeper into this idea of remembering the Lord and how it connects to creating wealth.
Right, and that's where it gets kind of interesting. Pino suggests that when you align yourself with God's principles, it actually makes creating wealth easier. And he's not talking about like manipulating the universe or anything. It's more about tapping into a natural abundance that flows from living in accordance with your faith.
I see.
Yeah.
He uses this analogy of a sailboat. Imagine trying to sail directly into the wind. It's a real struggle, you know? It takes a ton of effort, and it's usually pretty frustrating.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But then, when you align your sails with the wind, you harness that power, and you just glide effortlessly towards where you want to go. Pino's saying that aligning yourself with God's principles is like that. You tap into a force that's bigger than yourself, and it makes the whole journey smoother and more enjoyable.
It's a nice analogy. But some people might say it's oversimplifying things a bit.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that? Does this idea of ease really resonate with you? Or do you think true success always comes from hard work and overcoming obstacles?
That's a fair point. Life is rarely easy, right? And creating financial abundance usually takes a lot of effort, resilience, and a willingness to face those challenges head on.
Right.
But Pino isn't saying we should just sit back and wait for wealth to magically appear. It's more about the importance of aligning our actions with our values, which can lead to a sense of flow and purpose that makes the journey feel less difficult and more fulfilling.
Okay, so it's not about avoiding challenges altogether, but facing them with a different mindset. One that's rooted in faith and aligned with a higher purpose.
Exactly.
And that brings us back to this idea of redeeming the time that we talked about earlier.
Right.
Pino believes that when you break free from constantly trading your time for money, you gain the freedom to spend more time on what truly matters, including deepening your relationship with God.
That makes sense.
He says that most people, when they're caught up in the daily grind, end up seeing time as just another commodity, something to be exchanged for money. And that leads to this scarcity mentality, where you're always focused on what you're lacking, instead of appreciating what you already have. And Pino suggests that this scarcity mindset actually blocks you from experiencing true abundance. It's like trying to fill a bucket that has a hole in it. No matter how much you pour in, it never seems to get full.
That's a good way to put it.
But when you shift to an abundance mindset, one that's grounded in gratitude and trust in God's provision, you open yourself up to receiving more.
So it's not just about creating wealth, but about creating space in your life for things that are truly meaningful, like your spiritual growth, your relationships, your passions, and your purpose.
That's exactly.
And this is where Pino's message really connects with this broader conversation about finding meaning and fulfillment in life. He's suggesting that financial abundance, when pursued with the right intentions, can actually be a tool for living a more meaningful and impactful life.
Yeah.
It's not the end goal itself, but a way to reach a greater end.
I see. Now, I know this might all sound a bit idealistic, especially for those who are struggling to just make ends meet.
Yeah.
But Pino's not ignoring the realities of life. He's just challenging us to think differently about the relationship between our faith, our work, and our financial well-being.
Right. He's encouraging us to see ourselves as creators, not just consumers,
Right.
to tap into that God-given power within us, to shape our own realities, basically saying, you have this incredible potential, so why not use it to create a life that's both abundant and aligned with your values?
It's a powerful message. Regardless of your beliefs or financial situation, It's about taking ownership of your life,
Yeah.
embracing your creativity, and pursuing your passions with purpose. It's about seeing the world as a place of possibilities,
Yeah.
limitations.
Now, while Pinot focuses a lot on the spiritual side of things, he doesn't shy away from practical strategies either. Remember that chameleon metaphor?
Yeah,
It's not just a poetic image, it's a call to action.
I see.
He wants you to develop what he calls a chameleon mindset, which he describes as the ability to adapt and thrive, no matter what the economic environment throws at you. It's about being resourceful, flexible, and willing to embrace change.
Okay.
Think about it like this. In the wild, a chameleon's survival depends on its ability to blend in. It has to constantly adapt to changes in light, temperature, and predators.
Right.
And Pinot's saying that in the world of finance. You need to be just as adaptable and resourceful to navigate things like shifting markets, economic downturns, and unexpected challenges.
So it's not just about finding your niche or sticking to a rigid plan. It's about being open to new opportunities, learning new skills, and being willing to pivot when you need to. It's about being able to adjust your sails as the wind changes.
Exactly. He also talks a lot about leverage, which he defines as using other people's time, money, and resources to achieve your goals. And this isn't about exploiting others or taking shortcuts. It's about recognizing that you can't do everything yourself, and that collaborating with others and forming strategic partnerships can really amplify your efforts.
Right. In the business world, leverage is key to scaling your income and building lasting wealth. It could mean building a team, outsourcing tasks, or investing in systems that automate things, which frees up your time and energy so you can focus on what you do best.
Exactly. And even though Pinot encourages being resourceful and thinking creatively about leverage, he also stresses how important it is to find mentors and coaches who can guide and support you along the way.
I can see that being really valuable.
Yeah, he believes that having the right people in your corner can make all the difference. It's about surrounding yourself with people who believe in your vision, who challenge you to grow, and who offer accountability and encouragement, especially when things get tough.
So it's like building your own personal board of advisors, people who have experience, wisdom, and a genuine desire to see you succeed.
Exactly.
And their insights and support can help you navigate those challenges, avoid costly mistakes, and ultimately speed up your progress.
And this all ties back to his emphasis on community and surrounding yourself with people who share your values. He believes that when you connect with others who are also striving for financial abundance and spiritual growth, you create a synergy that multiplies your efforts and accelerates your success.
It's like that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Exactly.
Building a strong support network, both spiritually and practically, can provide the encouragement, accountability, and resources that you need to stay focused and achieve your goals.
Absolutely.
So we've covered a lot about the mindset and principles behind Pinot's approach.
Yeah.
But for those who are wondering, okay, but where do I actually start?
He does offer some practical suggestions.
He does. He highlights a few specific ways to generate wealth, including starting a business, investing in real estate, and building passive income streams. So we've talked about aligning with God's principles and using your creativity and resources to build wealth. But let's get specific. Pinot mentions a few ways to make money, like starting a business, investing in real estate, and creating passive income. Are those the only paths to infinite wealth?
Well, not necessarily. I think those are just examples. To show that there are lots of ways to achieve financial abundance, it's not about any one method. It's about finding what works best for you, based on your skills, passions, and resources.
So it's not like a one-size-fits-all formula.
Right. It's more about helping you find your own unique path, a path that aligns with your values and lets you express your creativity. Remember that God-given power, that culture.
Yeah.
It's about tapping into that.
So even though he mentions business or real estate, we shouldn't just blindly follow those paths.
No.
It's about adapting those ideas to our own situation.
Exactly. It's about being resourceful, thinking outside the box, and finding creative ways to use the skills and resources you already have. Like maybe you love cooking, so you start a catering business. Or maybe you're handy and you start flipping houses. The possibilities are really endless.
It's like he's encouraging us to see limitations as opportunities.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. He wants us to see challenges not as roadblocks, but as chances to be creative, just like the chameleon, always adapting. We should have that same adaptability when it comes to creating wealth.
But he also says that achieving real wealth, the kind that lasts, takes more than just external strategies.
Yeah, it's true.
He talks a lot about having the right mindset.
Right. He emphasizes that what you believe shapes your reality. If you think you're limited or destined to struggle financially, You'll probably act in ways that make those beliefs come true. But if you believe you can achieve great things, that you can create a life of abundance, then you open yourself up to a whole world of possibilities.
He's saying our thoughts really have an impact on what happens to us.
It's that idea of the self-fulfilling prophecy. Our thoughts and beliefs influence our actions, and those actions lead to results. So if you want financial abundance, you have to start with an abundance mindset.
So how do you actually cultivate that kind of mindset? Is it just about thinking positive thoughts?
It's more than just positive thinking. It's a shift in perspective from
Yeah.
scarcity to abundance. It's about recognizing that there's enough for everyone, that you're worthy of receiving blessings, trusting in God's provision, and believing that you have the power to create wealth.
Pino also talks about gratitude being important for an abundance mindset. He says to make gratitude a daily practice, like writing in a journal, showing appreciation to others, or just taking time to think about the good things in your life.
And there's actually a lot of research that shows how gratitude can really improve our well-being, including our financial success. When you focus on what you're grateful for, it shifts your attention from what you lack to what you have. And that can have a positive impact on your whole life. It's like setting your internal compass to focus on abundance instead of scarcity.
So wrapping up this deep dive into Rick Pino's biblical secrets to create infinite wealth, what are some key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, I think Kino gives us a new way to look at creating wealth. He challenges us to move past just trading time for money and embrace the power we have to create abundance through creativity, resourcefulness, and trust in God.
He encourages an abundance mindset rooted in gratitude, to see challenges as chances to innovate, and to build a supportive community with shared values and goals.
And even though he suggests things like starting a business or investing, he's clear that there's no one right way to do it. The key is to find what works for you. Use your unique skills and passions, and adapt as you go, like that adaptable chameleon.
He's basically telling us to be the architects of our own financial futures, to tap into our potential, and create lives that are both abundant and aligned with what we believe in.
Whether you agree with everything Pino says or not, he definitely brings up some interesting ideas about faith, creativity, and creating wealth. He challenges us to rethink what we believe about money, to embrace our creative power, and to see the world as a place full of possibilities.
And on that note, we'll leave you with one last thought. Pino focuses on individuals creating wealth, using that chameleon metaphor of adapting to the systems that already exist. But it makes you wonder, could those same principles of creativity and divine power be used to change those systems themselves? What would a world look like where creating wealth wasn't just about individual success, but also about justice, sustainability, and everyone's well-being? It's something to think about as you continue to explore the connection between faith, creativity, and living a more abundant life.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
Until next time, keep searching, keep exploring, and keep creating the life of your dreams.